All right, everyone. Hindu nationalism is definitely on the rise. By the way, I generally support this, actually, as I tend to support most nationalistic movements at a time when the world is kind of on the skids from globalism, and we're all being told, hey, you're not allowed to have your culture. The majority within your country is not allowed to have any of its own way. You need to bow down in fealty before Klaus Schwab and eat the bugs, live in the pod. India has decided on a different approach. And they take sort of an East-West fusion approach. It's very interesting at times because, of course, India is part of BRICS. It's part of the alliance in which China is funding the wokeness and shit all over the world. But then they've got their nationalistic movement too, and of course engage in more Western-style economics in general. I put my bet that India would surpass China on the world stage over time. Indeed, it appears to be happening already on an expedited schedule, so congrats to them. Now they're building a massive-ass temple. It's like, I think it's 70 acres in total, the entire compound, over the ruins of what used to be a mosque, angering the Islamic minority within India as well. But the claim by Hindus is that the Islamic mosque that had been built and was razed some time ago, that was built over the remains of a Hindu temple, which is entirely plausible. I mean, you could excavate the site, you could probably figure it out, but the Islamic minority there doesn't want the ruins of the mosque touched, and so a little bit difficult. And back in the 90s, I think it was, a bunch of Hindu nationalists attacked it with hammers and shit and started defacing the walls of what used to be this mosque. But again, the Hindu nationalist claim is it's a symbol of Islamic imperialism at a time when that area was run by Islam, and the Hindu groups there were suppressed. They were brought into subjugation. So they see this as the restoration of their particular location, a particular location of importance, because one of their gods, basically, avatars really. Hinduism it's complex as to whether you can deem it a polytheistic or monotheistic movement. It depends on interpretation. I'm not sure which one is the more mainline among Hindu nationalists. The understanding is that there's sort of one all-powerful source, technical monotheism, expressed with a multitude of different avatars, both good and evil, and neutral, and very humanized in some cases. And so this is the birthplace of Ram, specifically. So the temple is going to be named, I might butcher this pronunciation, so I'm going to read it from my notes here. Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir. I'm sure that that's not pronounced exactly as someone who speaks native Hindi would pronounce it. And their link in the description archived, of course. They're rebuilding this temple, and Modi's going to have a big star-studded affair. Dignitaries and stuff will be pouring in. Apparently they raised significantly more money, and the government didn't even need to fund it. These were private donations from companies and individuals and stuff. They're actually over budget considerably, and so they're going to have quite a few ornate gifts there. And it's amazing that they can create such a complex for an initial estimated cost of about $180 million, equivalent, of course, in rupees. You couldn't do that in the United States. God, that would cost 10 times that minimum to create such a structure. This is a rather elaborate temple complex. So congrats to the Hindu people for getting close to finishing their project. This is Bharat Rising, by the way. India informally deciding to change its name from India to Bharat in recognition of Hindu nationalism as well. Here's what I would say. Here's why I would support this kind of nationalism, because I tend to be more of a civic nationalist. But that's because I'm from the United States. The United States was founded on a civically nationalist, classically liberal approach. It was not founded with a specific church or religious movement in mind. Although all of the original founders were Christians, there were differences of opinion. There were a couple of Catholics in there, plenty of people who sound a lot more agnostic or atheist, at least in their writings, as opposed to being strictly Christian, and plenty of deists, non-church-going Christians, etc. There was a plethora of individuals, although on paper at least they all belonged to Christian denominations. Most of them didn't go to church on a regular basis. In fact, if you look at the early founders, I know I'm deviating from Hindu nationalism here, but this is just a backdrop for my opinion. In the United States, a lot of the original founders, they would have like philosophical meetings in the church and talk about space aliens and stuff like that. Did you know that Thomas Jefferson was a particular fan of that topic? "Oh, I can't believe that the Lord maketh all of this," and pointing up at the sky, which back then you could see the whole Milky Way. "I can't believe that the Lord made this and that there's no other life out there. Plus, I see weird stuff flying across the moon on a regular basis, and so I have a feeling that it's not just all rocks flying through space." So it's very interesting. Now, civic nationalism. In the modern incarnated sense, India, or Bharat, was not meant to be so. I would point out further that this is the only country in the world with a Hindu majority. Hindus everywhere else in the world are a minority. You've got one... Why is it that the Western world would balk at the concept of, well, these hardline kind of extreme nationalists over there trying to defend India for Hindus? Why would you balk at that when you support Israel for Jews, specifically? Or imagine some Islamic group, I say Iraq or something, and millions of people start pouring into the country, or some native religious under-movement begins to form and take power. And they were to say, no, we're going to remain an Islamic state because, we practice Islam here for a long time, and that's just the way it's going to be. I doubt that the people in D.C. would be complaining as much as they do about the Hindu nationalist movement. I'd further point out that while Islam is a minority within India, Islam is much larger as far as number of adherents on a world scale. It's not an endangered religion or anything like that, even when you split it into its denominations. Again, Shia Islam, I think a couple 100 million people. Sunni Islam, over 1 billion, if I remember correctly. And the Islamic minority in India is, I think, the second largest Islamic group in the world after Indonesia, if I remember correctly. Can't remember which one was in first. So you've got one nation in the world where this particular long and historied religion, thousands and thousands of years old, from the Indus Valley era, is predominant and can defend itself and have their temples, etc., etc. And there are people that actually have a problem with that. Well, I don't have a problem with that. It's their homeland. They've been there parked for thousands of years. If they want to rebuild their temple, they're saying that was where a temple was originally, that the mosque was the intrusion on that particular location. It's entirely plausible, by the way, archaeologically speaking. I mean, yeah, temples belonging to other religions were razed by Islamists for over the course of hundreds of years. Churches, etc. Look at the Hagia Sophia, originally made by Christians. So it's effectively a mosque now, with all the Christian iconography destroyed. This tends to be something that imperialistic expansionist movements do. We've seen this time and time again throughout the course of history. India is a very old culture, although now it's Bharat. I realize that it was once more, different Rajas and city-states and stuff like that, and there was a hodgepodge of different ethnic and tribal groups there, and they had their own territory and their own leaders and stuff like that, their own political substructures, often disagreeing on some tenets of Hinduism as well. Hinduism is not a monolith. Now, you've got different groups that are dedicated more to the worship of some avatar over another, Brahma, Vishnu, etc., Kali, not Kali Ma, not the demonic Kali, but the goddess consort, Hanuman, and certainly Ganesha. Ganesha, I think, is one of my favorites. He seems to be, he seemed to be pretty with it. And they've got Ram and all of these others. This is supposedly the birthplace of one of their Hindu avatars. Therefore, and it's in their country, they're claiming that it was originally a Hindu temple anyway. I'm failing to see the problem. So Bharat Rising, congratulations to Modi and the Hindu nationalists over there. I need to see India someday. I think that would be fucking fun. That's about all. Peace out.